Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, did you know that it was Leonardo da Vinci who first invented the jetpack? But it didn't take off. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rocketeer, Fate of the Future from Funko Games. Hello everybody, we'll get back to the review in just a second. I just want to take a moment to ask you to go ahead and check out and subscribe to my other channel, that is Cody Carlson PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history and fun things like that. Please check that out, please subscribe, and now, back to the review. In the Rocketeer, Fate of the Future from Funko Games, two players take on the roles of either the heroes or the villains as they fight for or against the forces of fascism in 1930s Los Angeles. Each player is going to take 3 character cards. The villains are going to take Sinclair, Lothar, and Valentine, while the heroes are going to take Peavy, Jenny, and the Rocketeer himself, Cliff. Players are going to set the board up in between them, and the board itself is a list of locations, various locations throughout Los Angeles. Now, each side of the board has spaces for that side's characters to go to visit. You're going to have miniatures for each of your characters as well. Now, the Rocketeer, the heroes, are actually going to start out with the plans for the jetpack. There's 3 different plans, and what you're going to do is you're going to mix those up, and you're going to place one face down behind each of your characters. So the villains know that the heroes have the plans, they just don't know who among the heroes has the plans. Each player is going to get their own action deck. You're also going to get a number of clout tokens, which function as a kind of currency in the game. You're going to get grit tokens, which are going to help you during battle. And at the top of the board, you're also going to place the Zeppelin's kind of path. So essentially, the Zeppelin starts on the East Coast, and it's making its way toward Los Angeles, hitting various cities along the way. But here is the dealio. That is your timer. When the Zeppelin gets all the way to the other side of the board, that's the end of the game. You have an event deck. And what you're going to do is every round you're going to reveal the top of the event deck. It may give you some special rules for that round, things you can and cannot do, or some other goodies. But critically, up in the corner, it will show 1, 2, or 0 Zeppelins. That's how far the Zeppelin is going to move during that round. Now, once you reveal the current events card, you're going to go into kind of the action phase. Now, each player has 7 cards, and you're going to be playing those cards throughout the action phase. But when you play a card, up on the top left, I believe, it's got a symbol of one or more of your characters. You can only move or use that character for that card if they match. So you go ahead and do that, but you can play the card in 2 different ways. You can do the left-hand side of the card, which usually just says, you know, you can move, you can tussle, have a fight, or do other things, and you just play that normally. Or you can do the text on the right side of the card. Now, if you do the text on the right side of the card, a lot of the time it's going to cost you clout, as I say, is kind of a currency. But there may be other fun and interesting things you can do by playing the text side of the card. But critically, again, it must match that character's symbol. Now, generally, a player can move 1 to 2 spaces on each card, but then, as I say, you can also tussle, and there'll be a tussle number. Now, again, the characters are moving to different spaces, different locations on their respective sides of the board. But if ever you are on one of your characters is on a side of the location and an enemy is on the other side of the location, you can tussle. Now, at the end, there'll be a tussle number, essentially saying how strong and powerful your initial attack is. Now, as I say, you have some grit tokens. You can actually discard the grit tokens from your character in order to increase that number. So if your tussle number is 1 and you have 2 grit tokens, you would attack them with a strength of 3.
Next, the defending player, they can go ahead and from their deck of cards, they can play cards that have a shield icon on them. This, essentially on a one-for-one basis, they can cancel one strength they're being attacked with. But then they can also discard their grit tokens in order to defend themselves from that attack. But if they can't defend, if there's more attack than defense in that tussle, then they are knocked out, they go down sideways, and critically, if they've got plans, then the villain can go ahead and look and see what their plans are. If it is the jetpack, if it's actually the jetpack, then they can claim all three of those cards, they can mix them up, and they can place the three of them under their characters as well. Now, after everybody's done their actions, you can go ahead and gain the rewards for whatever location you're on. But critically, you have to have more people there. You have to have at least one person there to gain the reward from that location, or if you both have people there, then nobody gets it, unless one of them is knocked out, in which case the person who's still standing can claim that reward. And the rewards, of course, are some important things, like, as I say, clout, or maybe the ability to draw an extra card. I think the observatory, you can actually, a person can look and say to the person holding the plans, show me that character's plans, to try to find who has the plans. Finally, you have the prepare for a new round. Now, as you're taking actions, your characters have little symbol tokens. They flip them over to black and white so that you know they've gone. You flip all those back over to show they're ready. You can discard any cards you don't want, and you draw your hand back up to 7 cards, and you prepare for the next round. Now, at one point in the game, the villain's choosing during the action phase. He can go ahead and essentially flip Eddie Valentine over. You'll remember in the movie, he didn't like working for fascists. He may not make an honest buck, but he's 100% American. So essentially, Eddie Valentine goes away. He goes off the board. Instead, he is replaced with the Secret Army. The villain player is going to be able to recruit Secret Army tokens and place them on the board, and these are kind of strengths that then they can use to kind of clog up the board to deny the heroes the location effects, but also to help defeat them and to get back the plans. Now, the soldiers, the Secret Army that's recruited these tokens, they're like weak characters. They can move, they can fight, but they're not terribly powerful, but there's a lot of them. This is just another obstacle that the heroes have to overcome in order to win. Now, throughout the game, players are doing different things to grab finale cards. You know, from tussles, from playing certain cards and spending certain cards, to, you know, winning certain other things that are going on. You get to grab the tussle or the finale cards. So you get the finale cards, and you can look at them, but your opponent can't. So you get all these finale cards, and then at the very end of the game, that last round, you have the finale. And when that's over, you go ahead, you flip over all your finale cards, and these things have a lot of just score. You get this many points, but they may say you get this many points if you control this location, or if you have the most this or that. So you go ahead, you look at all of your finale cards, you total them up, and whoever has the most points wins. Rocketeer, fate of the future. So a while back, the good people at Funko, I reached out to them about another game. They said, hey, would you like to review this one too? I'm like, yeah, sure. When I was a kid, I liked The Rocketeer. I thought it was a pretty fun movie. I think it was maybe about 13 or 14 when it came out. And I liked it. I thought it was fun. And it was kind of one of those films I always thought they were going to make sequels, and I guess it didn't do too well, so they didn't. But they told me about this game. I'm like, okay, that could be fun. I didn't know what to expect, okay? I had no idea anything about this game prior to me opening up the box, except that it existed. And of course the theme. And so I got it out and I read the rules, and I'm like, oh, okay, these sound like it could be a fun little game. Well, I set it up. I played it with Kim, and we're playing the game and we're learning it. Super easy to learn, very easy to pick up, very easy game to learn and to pick up. And you know, you're going, you're fighting, you're doing the tussling, you're moving from location to location, and it's interesting because it's got kind of some interesting card play you do in this game, and then it's got kind of the area control aspect of it too. But it's also got the hidden information with the plans, which is pretty sweet. And then I like the hidden information with the finale cards. You may get an idea of what you're going to score, but you're not going to know, of course, until the end when everything's kind of falls into place, and you don't know what your enemy has with their finale cards. You just know you want to get those finale cards. Long story short, I really had fun with this game. This is just a great light game. Plays in like 45 minutes. You know, it's not a long game at all, but it's still it packs a punch. It's like I say, everything here just clicks. It just works. This is one of those games too where you get to those points where there's certain things you want to accomplish, but you don't have the cards for it, or you don't have the clout for it, and so it leads to some of those painful decisions. Well, I can do this, but then I can't fulfill this objective with my finale card, and that's really what it is. You're kind of getting these evolving objectives throughout the game, which are cool. That's part of it. But it's really a fun game. I love the theme, and I think it is incredibly well executed here. Now, I said I didn't know anything about this game. I did know that it was designed by Prospero Hall, so I was optimistic. Prospero Hall makes just some fantastic games. For the last few years, whenever I see Prospero Hall on a game box, I get super excited because I know it's going to be fun. I think they've only let me down one game that I can think of I didn't care for. Every other game they produced, I've either liked a lot or really had fun with. And this one, I really had fun with it. Really like the Rocketeer Fate of the Future. Recommendation for the Discriminating Gamer is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history and fun things like that. Please check it out, please subscribe, and I'd ask you to please leave a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. That helps us out a lot as well. You know, ladies and gentlemen, the other day, my neighbor was trying to strap a rocket to a deer. I guess he was just trying to make a quick buck.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I've been dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
Number 9, Root Canal, The Dentist Wars.